What's going on, guys? Welcome to Steve Does Stuff. I'm Steve, and today we're going to be doing some detailing stuff. I'm going to show you how to turn faded single stage paint into really nice, glossy, smooth paint for less than $100. Our subject of today's video is going to be the same subject for a lot of videos. It's going to be my 89 FoxBody notchback. This one has a 1JZ in it. Now, all that's good and fine. We're going to be focusing on the paint today. And when I bought this car back in February, I was a FoxBody noob. All I knew is this had a sick motor, it was a good deal, so I went and bought it. And one of the main things I learned is about the paint. These, up until 91, were all painted with single stage paint. To understand what we're doing here today, it's important to understand the differences between single stage and three-stage paint. Single stage paint is where they mix everything together, paint, hardener, all that good stuff, and they just kind of, it's cheap and it is fast, but it is not as tough as three-stage paint. Three-stage paint has a base coat, top coat, and a lacquer or clear coat that is protecting the paint on the very top. Single stage, because it's all mixed together and it's all shot onto the car, means it is more susceptible to breakdown and fading over time. The main things that are gonna start to make single stage paint not look so good are UV from the sun, road salt, chemicals, brake dust, all the stuff flying around in the air, as well as bird poop. Based on my car when I picked it up in February, I would say, well, it is in good shape. It sat outside in the sun for a lot of its 34 years because every surface that faces the sun faces up. Here, trunk, quarter panels, hood, they were all pretty badly faded. So when I bought it, I actually thought it had matte paint. Come to find out, it just has custom faded paint. So,
yeah, but it's custom.
It's custom faded?
Now that I have taken care of the major issues in it, getting it tuned, rewiring, putting an interior in, new clutch, new pressure plate, new friction disc, it's time to make this thing look a little bit better. So my first attempt was what I was familiar with. Went to the Old Faithful compound and polish, and I worked on this trunk for a legit 4 hours. This is all I could get. So you can see, if we're using the light as a point of reference, it is better. There's no reflection there, but there's reflection here. Now, even though it was better, I wasn't really satisfied with it. I didn't have that really nice smooth finish just because the paint was so degraded. So one day I kind of snapped. I had some 2000 Grit Sandpaper laying around and I wet sanded all my headlights to kind of bring them back around. And I thought, hey, if this works for headlights and single stage paint is all mixed together, it's all one layer, why won't it work for this? And as it turns out, it works extremely effectively. Let me show you how to do it. Sandpaper, sponge, an ass load of microfibers, compound, polish, and some turtle wax to finish it off. So if you gathered together all these supplies, 12 bucks, 13 bucks, 15 bucks, 6 bucks, 6 bucks, I don't know, like $1 billion for like 50 cents. Those plus a power buffer is exactly what you are gonna need to do this. Oh shit, I forgot the tape. And some tape. So all of these supplies are gonna run you easily under $100, and that is essentially all you need. What this project lacks in cost, it more than makes up for it in the amount of time it is gonna take you to do this. This whole side of my car is one entire day. Assume it's gonna take you a day per side. You're probably not gonna be able to feel your right arm, so, try and switch arms when you can. Like that adage works for a lot of things in life, but it's gonna take you a long time. But the end result, just look at how much better this car looks.
Gosh, just look at it.
Deeper, more rich color, looks wet. You can actually see me in the paint. Versus, you can't see shit over there. All right, so now if you gathered your supplies, it's time to take this, start taping off all the trim pieces on the car just so you don't kind of mess them up with sandpaper. So pieces of trim I'm gonna be taping are around the windows, doors. Also gonna be taping up the front of this guy just so I don't get it on the hood, windows, all that stuff. You get what I'm talking about. And when you're done, it should look something like this. So, got half the car taped up here. Perfect world, you do this to a whole car. I kind of did this to show you guys the difference that it makes. Last step before you actually get into action is this bad girl needs a wash. So I'm just gonna take some waterless cleaner, kind of rub this thing down because any dirt, debris, or dust that's sitting on the surface, we really don't want to just like jam that into the paint because you'll get some really big gashes and it's not gonna be good. You're just gonna be screwing things up. So I'm gonna clean off the roof and then I'm gonna start on that area. Now, it's time to bust out the sandpaper. When using 2000 on basically all the body panels of the car except for the hood. Hood is exceptionally terrible. I don't know if it was spray painted. I don't know what's going on there. I'm just not even gonna bother dealing with that. I use 1500 grit on that. Take our 2000 grit sandpaper. I'm gonna take our super high-tech Velita sponge. And that is what we're working with. Don't forget your water bottle. Maybe a clean rag. It's important to work in small areas. I'll probably do this area right here. If you start to go all over the place, it can really get away from you and then it's not gonna be good. You want a super smooth, consistent finish, so work on small areas at a time. This is just water, nothing crazy. Hence the wet sanding. Welcome to the next 12 hours of your life. As you do this, you can see the color kind of start to come up off of the paint. You can also hear the difference. So there's gonna be a pretty big difference in the sound of this, and that's another important cue to try and figure out how well this is going. Nice and smooth. As soon as you get into a new area, you'll hear that harsh sound. Give it a couple wipes. It starts to quiet down, and then you'll also notice that the water sits super uniform versus beading on there. Just helps you kind of know that that surface is getting smoothed out. Give it a wipe. It's way better, but you can still see it's kind of got that like orange peely piece in it. And yeah, look, there's gonna be a couple scratches. As long as they're not down like to the metal, it's gonna be okay. What we're trying to get to, while this is smoother and better, is we want to make this like a mirror finish. So we got to get rid of this like orange peely piece here. So that means we're going to hit this section again with the 2000 grit. Just nice circular motions. You can put your hand on the pad like this. One way I know that this is starting to actually really work is it starts to get really grippy to the paint here. Oh yeah. All right, so that is what we're looking for. Just trying to clean that up. Don't worry about these little swirls. It's gonna look like shit for a little while, but the compound is gonna take that out, I promise you. Now, you're gonna be doing this with a buffer, but I figured to show you this. Ta-da! See, look, no more scratches. That's what we want. That's what we want to get that mirror finish. Do not freak out about these little guys, because I did the first time. Done the roof area, and I want to show you why it's super important to like go slow and take your time, because ultimately you're going to save yourself a ton of time on this. First section of the roof was done, kind of slowly. You can see the light here, the color of it, fairly uniform. Let's get over to the front. See how it gets all messed up, it's darker, it's not nice and clean as it was over here. So I'm going to go back over this with 2000 grit. Again, the scratches, don't pay attention to that. So now it's a little bit more uniform coming across here, front to back. You can just see this was so matte before. Now it's got some shine on it. There's a big clarity difference on this guy, but it is looking good. So once you've done the 2000 grit sand, you are going to want to compound this vigorously, which I'm going to show you guys, but I'm going to do the whole car before I move on to compounding, because I just want to sand it, compound it, polish it, wax it, done, okay? Moving on to the hood, which is a bit of a different bag of worms. So this hood will come back pretty nice, but I just get the feeling that it's not factory paint. And the reason I get the feeling it's not factory paint is all these drips down here. Also see some red coming through here. So like it does smooth out, like it looks way better. I don't think it'll ever look perfect because this is so much worse. I'm gonna wipe this down first, and then I'm gonna use 1500 grit, which is pretty aggressive. As you can see, the hood is in way worse shape than the actual factory paint. So this is probably where like some of those chemical strippers would kind of come in handy. You can see all like the pock marks of like stuff's got stuck in there, little pieces of dirt, you know, God knows whatever is in there. It's not looking the best, but it can be fixed. So we have wet sanded the whole car, looking super squirrely, but we get into the compounding, evens it right out. So basically you take one section, say like that, work that for 5 minutes, wipe this puppy off, and it's so shiny. This
getting there.
Huge difference.
That's just like the first.
Yeah, so we're gonna compound this whole thing, and we're gonna polish this whole thing, and then we're gonna wax this whole thing. It's a lot of fucking work.
Yeah.
A lot of work.
Yeah.
But it looks so good once it's done though, man.
Getting there. It's almost better than it was, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. This is still standard 2000 grit, and then this is with just a compound on here. So I'm gonna show you guys doing this section here, trying to work in like 2x2. It is going to be a lot of compound. I'm gonna spend about 5 minutes in this section. We've gotten a lot of the oxidization out, but there's not really like a sharp, clear image like there is right here. And this is like perfect. Still gonna polish and wax it, but I'm gonna show you what goes into this section. Hit it, big dog. First thing you're gonna wanna do, an aggressive amount of compound. Spray the pad or the metal just a wee bit. Give her a little set a timer for 5 minutes. Go nuts. Buff this puppy off. Look how clean that door is. You can just see there to there. I mean, look at that nice back quarter. That's some beautiful stuff. Polish gate continues. It's officially day 3. This thing's looking great, but I still got to finish the polish and then the wax, and then we are 100% done. The day Rec came by, we did about 4 hours, and then we kind of got tired of it and we stopped. So here's where we're at. We're looking super glossy. Roof's looking good. Everything's looking pretty sweet. So I already did the roof, but I'm going to spend the same amount of time polishing these sides and doing the front as well. But I mean, this thing's looking so freaking nice. Same thing as before. I'm gonna take the polish, which is McGuires Ultimate Polish, find a little 2x2 section to work on. Just keep on going, and this will be over soon. Okay, so 1 hour of polishing later, we're on to the final step. Everything is looking super glossy. Windows are looking terrible. Got a real sweet dent right here. That's quite unfortunate. The nice thing about polishing up your car is you can see absolutely every dent that you didn't know you had because the paint was so horrible. Nice and wrinkly. It's time to finish this off. We got to finish it off by hand, which sucks. So I had butter wax, top coat paint sealant, turtle wax. And I tested spots, and honest to God, paint sealant, butter wax, tried to turtle wax. From overhead, I don't really pick up any difference on this. And the light reflection, butter wax, turtle wax, still very much down to the sanding job. See how it beads water. Paint sealant, butter wax, turtle wax. They all seem to do the same shit. The cheapest, the turtle wax, looked the best. So now I'm gonna go over, apply this, let it dry, buff it off by hand. And we are like done finally. So last little bit, here we go. She is, she's done. After probably 3 straight days of working on this thing, it's finally done. And it looks real good.
Gosh, just look at it.
So after legit like 3 full days of wet sanding, of compounding, of polishing, of waxing, this thing is done. Paint came right back around, save for a couple spots on the hood. But as we said, pretty sure that was spray painted. This thing looks really good. Case in point, it's shiny. That's amazing. So I took this thing for a victory lap, kind of took it out on the highway, let her stretch her legs. And this happened. Lost my sleeve cylinder for the clutch, had to drive home sans clutch, and back on the stands. So we're ending this one with a bit of a win, kind of a lose. So next time, I'll be doing rear upper control arms and bushings, as well as the clutch sleeve cylinder. Thanks for watching, appreciate you guys very much. See you next time.